Hey guys, Maewtt here, and we are back with more trolling on Mineplex bridges. And before we begin, I just want to give a shout out to Straight Chillin' from my hall's group chat, because after seeing my video, he watched it with a few other guys from my hall, and he ended up changing the group chat name to Ode to Jake. So, I appreciate that, and shout out to the other guys in my hall who also watch my videos. I really appreciate it. Also, another thing too, the guy who I talked about that had the dick shaved on his chest, he ended up changing his name in the group chat to Jake, and I also thought it was pretty funny. And he even asked me to send him a link to the video so that he could show a girl that I talked about him on YouTube. So I did that. And someone also sent me a video of the Ode to Jake, and I'm going to play it for you with, of course, Jake's real name cut out. So here you go, guys. So now you guys know what the Ode to Jake looks and sounds like, and sorry for the poor quality, but on the bright side, that means I don't have to bother censoring anyone's face. Now, one story that the guys in my group chat wanted me to talk about was the funeral we had, and obviously it wasn't a real funeral. It was just because someone ended up leaving our hall. And we're going to call this kid David. So David was in our hall, he ended up leaving. And when the guys found out, they ended up building like the shrine around the drinking fountain in the middle of the hall. It had like his picture, chairs with like candy and stuff. It had a bunch of stuff. I'll show a picture of it. It's not like the full shrine, but I'll throw a picture of it right now. Like I said, this isn't the full thing. There were also like chairs that had free candy on them and a few other things, but this is a general idea. Also, there's a boombox playing music, but you can't really hear it right now. Now, if you look closely at that last video I sent you, you may have noticed post-it notes. And so what someone did was they had post-it notes where you could, write a goodbye message to David. And, at first they were all really nice, like, I'm going to miss you. But then someone found out that David was moving to B9. Now, I believe I talked about B9 a few videos ago and how, no one likes them because they always prank people and stuff. And basically, they've been affectionately named the Tool Shed by everyone else. And so when people found out he was moving there, the tone of the messages changed a little bit. Like one of them was like, "Forget, I'm not like." Someone in the group chat said, "I'm not going to his funeral because he's moving to B9." And then like one of the post-it notes said, "Even though you're moving to B9, you're still an okay guy." It was just really funny how like the tone of the post-it notes changed after that was discovered. And as for the actual funeral itself, it took place at around midnight, and they actually wrote out like an entire program for it. The only things I remember it involving were a moment of silence, a prayer, and of course, Ode to Jake. These guys don't really do anything big without singing the Ode to Jake. The next story is about a prank I did on April Fools in real life, and I made this fake news website called the Potluck News. I'll have a link to it down in the description. Basically, the stories are like the headlines are things that sound like they could happen, but I just completely made them up. And I posted one on my Facebook, and my younger sister actually thought it was real. And so my mom ended up having to explain to her, first off, it's April Fool's, and second off, if that particular story actually happened, the guy would face criminal charges. And basically, the story I posted was about a scoutmaster who let like 12 and 13-year-olds drive a car that they restored, and one of the 12-year-olds ended up like crashing it into the church. And so my mom's like, he'd face criminal charges if he did that in real life, whereas like in the story I think I just said he had to pay for a new door or wall or whatever he crashed it through. So I did that, and then a few days later I made another fake news story and posted it on like our freshman news page, and I think I actually tricked a few people there too. And so I decided, see if I could keep this going. So I ended up posting another story in my group, in the hall's group chat, but someone was actually smart enough to see who wrote it, and then they saw written by Maewtt, and then they knew it was fake and called me out for it. So my streak kind of ended there, but it was still pretty funny. And the website's still there. I do plan on adding more to it, but if you're not Mormon, you probably won't get some of the stories. So this next story takes place at my house, and I wasn't there for this, but my older sister was. And my younger sister decided to take my other younger sister's gloves and cut the fingers out so that she could make these like paw gloves for my cats. And my younger sister, who had her gloves cut, wasn't too happy about that. But, it's all good because, it's for the cat. And so my younger sister ends up putting it on the cat, and the cat doesn't like it. Like, whenever you put them on, she immediately kicks them off. Like, here's a video of what I'm talking about. Cliff makes me laugh every time. Anyways, about 2 months ago, it was past midnight. I was trying to sleep, but someone kept banging on my door. Every time I got up to look and see who it was, they'd be gone. So after like the third or fourth time, I basically took my air horn and I just stood right outside my door, you know, one hand on the handle, one hand on the air horn. And as soon as they banged on again, I just opened the door and just blasted the air horn in their face. And then like he and like these two other guys just run in different well, I mean, there's only two directions to go into, but they basically like split up and just like, I heard them like laughing like, oh shoot, you know, as they were running away. And after that, no one's banged on my door in the middle of the night. And something tells me that I've put this in a YouTube video that's going to change. Please don't, guys. I mean, finals are coming up. I don't want to have to, you know, put up with that again. Alright, so I got a few bus stories for you from high school. So on the afternoon bus, I sat with Bob, and I believe I've talked about Bob a few times in previous stories. And so we both sat in the front, because, like, you know, in the back, that's where all, like, the potheads sat, and I didn't want to get, like, involved with any of that. And so Bob was just as well behaved on the bus as he was in health class. And so, for example, whenever he'd get on the bus, he'd greet the bus driver, "Hello, Jerry, how the f are you?" And eventually the bus driver got so sick of it that when, like, Bob greeted him like that, he ended up kicking him off the bus, and he made him, like, come back on, greet him like a proper human being. And it was just really funny. Like, whenever the kids in the back were acting up, the bus driver, and if Bob was acting up as well, the bus driver would threaten to make Bob sit in the back as a punishment for both Bob and the kids in the back. And it got everyone to behave immediately, because that was something that nobody but the bus driver and I would be happy with, because it'd be pretty funny to see what would happen. I actually asked Jerry, you know, the bus driver, if he would ever actually follow through with his threat to make Bob sit in the back. And he said no, because Bob would probably get beat up and then he'd be liable for it. Another bus story is the time where I threw a kid's homework out the window. So this kid was being a huge pain in my butt every single day. And so one day I got sick of it, so I took the homework out of their hand and just chucked it out the window. I ended up getting like a week of lunch detention for it, but honestly, the kid never bothered me again, so it was totally worth it. The last story will be about my younger sister's home and careers project. Basically, what she had to do was she had to go to the store, buy a bunch of ingredients, and then make a meal and make a dessert. And then, like, everyone in the family had to review it. And so she did when my brother and sister-in-law were... And so she did when my sister and brother-in-law were in town for Christmas break. And I figured that, you know, those two plus my parents and my other younger sister would be enough to review it. But apparently she needed 6 people. And so as a result, I had to stay home. I had to, like, go home from my friend's party early so I could have the dinner and review it. And I was pretty salty about that. So I wrote a pretty, like, mean and sarcastic review. I was like, because 5 people aren't enough to tell you how the meal was, I'm reviewing it too. And I wrote a bunch of other stuff. And I had the same teacher, and so I knew she was like OCD about like the paper and stuff. Like if you bent the corner of a paper, she'd make you do the whole thing over again. I'm not even kidding. So on my review, I bent the corner pretty noticeably, and then like at the bottom I wrote, "P.S. Because I know how much you hate this, I bent the corner just for you." Needless to say, my parents weren't very happy and told me to write a review, and they made me write a new review and act my age. Anyways, guys, that's all for today. Thank you for watching and listening to my story. Please like, share, and subscribe for more.